Paramore is back after 5 years of radio silence in the music industry, and they've already made massive headlines with their latest leading track, This Is Why. I'm your host Michaela, let's jump right in. Paramore is an American rock band that originated in Franklin, Tennessee and was formulated in 2004. Currently, the band consists of lead vocalist Hayley Williams, drummer Zac Farro, and guitarist Taylor York. Hayley and Zac are original members of the group from the very beginning, whereas Taylor joined the original lineup in 2007. How do you know about Paramore? Let me know in the comments below. The band's addictive blend of modernized rock and roll and emo pop soon shined a light on their bright stardom nowadays, but Paramore comes from humble beginnings in Franklin. It was here where Hayley met Zac and his brother Josh following a move from a local Mississippi town. Hayley was known as a powerhouse vocalist as early as 13, and soon took part in a band that Zac had created with his sibling and a local guitarist named Taylor. It wasn't long after that Hayley departed from the group to sign a record deal with Atlantic as a solo artist. However, the Paramore frontwoman ended up clashing with said label over her musical direction. As a result, Hayley wound up convincing Atlantic to allow her to pull together a full lineup for a band. Zac and Josh were soon recruited to take on the job, alongside with bassist Jeremy Davis and first guitarist Jason Bynum. From the very beginning, Paramore's melodic, pop hits, and animated songwriting seemed to heavily contradict the fact that all members, aside from Jeremy, were under the age of 18. In order to help with the attraction of a younger audience, Atlantic made the decision to share the band with a Florida-based label called Fueled by Ramen, which obtained a strong roster of emo pop artists. In April 2005, the Floridian label officially co-signed Paramore, and their full-length debut album All We Know Is Falling saw its release in the summer of that year. Additionally, the budding act put on a performance at New Jersey's Bamboozle Festival, as well as hosted multiple dates on the circuit tour Warped. They played shows with other bands like Simple Plan and Stray Light Run 2. In December of 2005, Paramore's original lineup was shaken up when Jason got replaced by Hunter Lamb that winter, and the band used the remaining time in the following summer to tour with Warped once again. This was said to have cemented the band's relationship with fans who had the opportunity to experience them live the previous summer. Hunter departed from the group back in early 2007 so that he could get married, and Paramore ventured on as a quartet. In the summer after all this, Paramore's sophomore album titled Riot was recorded with the help of producer David Bendeth at the time. This body of music was stacked with popular singles like Crush Crush Crush, Misery Business, and That's What You Get. The iconic Riot shifted Paramore into a big deal in the industry, as the group saw their album score platinum within its first 13 months of release. Riot also earned the band a Best New Artist nomination for the Grammys. Paramore continued their line of success with their original guitarist Taylor jumping back on board, and the group toured non-stop to support the records. Paramore even managed to land a fleeting 2-month setup across the US alongside their idols Jimmy Eat World. While this was occurring, the band still made time to put out 2 songs for the best-selling soundtrack of Twilight, including the top 40 single Decode. Their live album The Final Riot dropped a couple of weeks after their Twilight work, which dubbed the group's strength as live performers and capped the extensive touring cycle they played in support of Riot. However, all this fame didn't last as hard or as long as they originally thought, as Paramore was detailed to have publicly struggled with their fame throughout 2008, particularly due to the string of rumors of a group breakup circulating in light of the attention Hayley was receiving, being dubbed as Paramore's leader. Still, their lineup remained intact, with the group even retreating to a studio in California in 2009 to get to work on their 3rd album. They kicked off their popular No Doubt tour in the summer and then released Brand New Eyes right after. Brand New Eyes was described as being some of Paramore's most pensive records, with some of their strongest songwriting abilities to date back then. For this album, Paramore saw sales of over 175,000 copies and a debut spot at number 2. This bested singer Mariah Carey's memoirs of an imperfect angel. By the end of that year, Brand New Eyes went gold, and the only exception took the position of becoming the group's highest charting single in America to date. Additionally, Hayley snagged her own chart topper for a multi-platinum collaboration she did with hip-hop act B.O.B. called Airplanes. According to reports, long-brewing tensions between the Farro siblings and their lead vocalist had reached a boiling point by the time 2010 was nearing its end, considerably being 2 of Paramore's co-founders, Josh and Zac, to the world by storm when they eventually messily split up from the rest of their 3 former members around late 2010. Mere days after leaving behind his band, Josh dished out a blog post describing the band's past experiences, including previously unknown details that regarded Atlantic's early involvement and Hayley's solo contract. However, the band seemed to move on just fine as they released their single Monster, which was part of the soundtrack for Transformers Dark of the Moon. Monster was the first track recorded without the Farro brothers and was the very first single to showcase Taylor taking over all guitar responsibilities. The years after these events, Paramore scooped up some new working material with producer Justin Meldal Johnson and Lost Prophets former drummer Elon Rubin. In 2013, the band made their return with their 4th self-titled studio album. The album was another massive successor, hoarded with headbanging chart toppers like Ain't It Fun and Still Into You. For this, Paramore gave their 4th forth body of music and expansive stylistic approach that allowed the group to incorporate numerous sounds like synth pop, gospel, and dance rock. In a major breakthrough for the quartet, Paramore debuted at #1 on Billboard's Top 200 chart and ultimately went on to receive platinum status. This achievement awarded Paramore with their next tour in 2015, but the band soon announced that their bassist Jeremy had parted ways with them. The reasoning behind Jeremy's leave was later revealed that he and Paramore were actively engaging in a legal dispute over royalties and songwriting credits. And despite the ongoing lawsuit at the time, Hayley and Taylor went right back to work to follow up on their self-titled album, again in collaboration with Justin. During this period, the group also reconnected with their OG drummer Zac, who at first came on board as a studio guest but later rejoined the band full-time. In 2017, Paramore released Hard Times to lead as the forefront track for their 5th studio album After Laughter. If you're enjoying today's WATN, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Now let's discuss Paramore's latest comeback and how it relates to what we currently know. Hayley recently teased a brand new Paramore UK comeback with the announcement that they already have the plan in place. The trio's long-awaited, highly anticipated 6th album, This Is Why, was introduced to the world on September 28th through the released title track of the same name. Over the weekend, Hayley and the band headed out on the road to host their first live show in over 4 years. When the frontwoman spoke to BBC Radio 1 most recently, Hayley was asked when Paramore was set to return, with Hayley replying, quote, "Oh, it won't be long. We talked about the UK more than ever while making this record. We were really digging up our oldest influences from across the pond, and we're like, every time I would imagine or envision playing a show, it was some festival in the UK or some crowd that we played for in Manchester or something. We just have such a cool relationship with our fans around the world, but there is something really special about the UK and the lineage of bands that are from there. I can't wait." Hayley continued to express her excitement for people to discover who they'll be playing with and what they have up their sleeves, being sure to add that she is so excited to get back out there. "You can't believe how excited I am." Back over the summer, Hayley also spoke about the influence that UK band Bloc Party had in the forthcoming This Is Why. Quote, "From day one, Bloc Party was the #1 reference because there was such an urgency to their sound that was different to the fast punk or the pop punk or the loud wall of sound emo bands that were happening in the early 2000s. Outside of this, Hayley praised World Alice and gushed and urgently wanting to sing with the group's Ellie Rosell. Ellie responded in a tweet calling Hayley a queen and letting her know she would sing with her any day. Via Atlantic Records, Paramore is set to drop This Is Why as a follow-up to their 2017 smash hits album After Laughter on February 10th, 2023. It can be pre-saved or pre-ordered now. Lead vocalist Hayley has sufficed herself launching her solo career in the years after Laughter, but she seems to always know how to return to home, as she revealed in a late 2021 note to fans that Paramore can't be on break forever now, can we? And these words were surely put directly into practice while the band regained activeness lately. They've done everything from offering up information on their nearing album's release to announcing their tour that began on October 2nd with a featured headlined appearance for the Emopalooza Festival, referred to as When We Were Young Fest. Way earlier this year, Hayley did a sit-down with Rolling Stone to detail that the new album would include more emphasis back on the guitar, and Zac should go as animal as he wants with drum tape. This managed to stick with fans who have since been building up the excitement all year. In July, Hayley was featured on the podcast Everything Is Emo, where she took things a step further by informing fans that their next album was Bloc Party inspired. Nowadays, we've been given the promise of a since-released song, This Is Why, titled after the album and announced in a tweet dated September 16th. As for the latest news, Paramore's 6th studio album will see its release in 2023, and until then, we can happily anticipate 1 or 2 more leading tracks. The band's intimate tour across North America kicked off on Sunday, October 2nd in Bakersfield, California, and will take on the rest of the stops throughout the next 2 months, ending in Mexico City on November 19th. That's been today's WATN. Thanks for watching, friends!